In this lesson, we're going to see how we can get lighter teeth inside Premiere Pro. So we have one video left from our initial selection. So in this video, we have this person revealing their teeth. And if we were to use this video in, let's say, a dental commercial, we need to show that unrealistic white and bright teeth. So to do that, we're going to use the HSL secondary that we've used before, but this time it's only focused on the color of the teeth. So let's make a sequence from this clip. Right-click and choose New Sequence from Clip. Call it Teeth, and there we go. Let's choose the color workspace, and then we'll have access to Lumetri Color. Over here, we're going to open up HSL secondary and go to a frame where we can see her teeth fully on display. So right here, we're going to grab the eyedropper tool and choose the set color, which, like we said, is supposed to be average range of colors rather than the brightest or the darkest bits. For example, with the teeth, we don't want to go for any shadows or any of the highlights, but rather an average color that is visible in all of her teeth. So that would be a yellowish color here. Choose it once, check the color gray option, and using these sliders, we're going to isolate her teeth alone. Now it's okay if you brought in a bit of her lip. We can always just mask out the effect. But the most important thing is that you have all of the teeth visible within the selection. And as for the teeth at the bottom, we don't want to really focus on that because they're already behind the front row and there is some shadow casted on those bottom teeth. So just focus on the front row. I'm going to turn this back and just use the different sliders to grab mostly her teeth. You can add to the selection or remove it by using the minus or the plus. I'm going to remove this pinkish color that's on her lip and on her gum since we're not trying to brighten up the gums, and use the add to grab that shadowy area around her teeth. We ended up bringing some of her skin, but this is rather easy to mask out. So once I have this, I'm just going to increase the blurriness for the edges and denoise them a bit so that the transition from the whitened teeth to the gum won't be that sharp and noticeable. Uncheck your color gray once you're done, then scroll down and remove the saturation. So once we remove the saturation, you can see that we're taking away from that yellow. You don't want to go all the way or else you're going to get something like this, but rather a slight movement towards the left. We also want to cancel out the yellow by introducing some blue using the temperature slider. So there we go. Already this is looking a lot wider than it did before. This is without HSL secondary. This is with it. So there's quite a lot of difference. Next, we want to increase the correction slider towards, just bring it up so that it becomes brighter and more pearly. Looking good. If you notice that you're getting chunks of color like this, then you can just go back to your color gray, add to the selection by pressing that tiny area. That way you can have all of her teeth. I think I missed a little bit down there. There we go. So just keep going back and forth until you have the right selection for her teeth. Mine is looking pretty good, so I'm just going to leave it right here. Now go into your effects controls on the same layer. I'm just going to hit M on this frame. Select the timeline, hit M, so I know exactly where I want my mask to begin. Grab your video, then the pen tool on Lumetri Color, and just circle around her teeth. Make sure that you do not get her skin tone, because that was the area that we brought in during the selection. Select it like so, pull these if you have to. Then be sure to feather out your mask by, let's say, 10 or 15. And now we can begin tracking forward, then backward. So track forward first, go back to your marker, and then track backward. Once we're done tracking, we have the subject with pearly white teeth. Let's take a look at a before and after. This is before, this is after. So we got that really shiny looking teeth for the subject, and it's looking pretty natural because of the blurring that we did. You can always go back on your layer and increase the blur amount if you saw that the edges are just not as soft. You can just change that right here. So this can be applied to any other instances. Just make sure that your masking and tracking is right, or else you're going to reveal this bright and desaturated effect onto her lips and her skin. So this is the end of our lesson. It was a really simple technique that you can use on your videos to give your subject pearly white teeth. I'll see you guys in the next lesson, where we take a look at some other effects that you can do with Premiere Pro.